What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let Your Sports Talk. Today we are diving into week two. Week two just closed off on Sunday. Still have Monday tonight, so lots to talk about this past weekend. A lot of shit happened. That really good close games. I think there was the overtime games was really fun to watch. But first, I want to dive into the Bengals against the Ravens game. Big showdown between these two guys. Look, first off, I think gotta give credit where credit's due. The Ravens stepped up, and I mean they were 2-0. Lamar did a really good job. A lot of production in that game on the offensive side, and even without OBJ, who again is hurt. Tough situation for him. Didn't really get off to a start at all really this season with him. So we'll see how it goes with OBJ. But Lamar did a really good job. I mean, compared to last week, and I know last week they won, but I wasn't really as convinced with his performance last week as much as I was this week. I think we saw a pretty different Lamar on the field. He threw for 237 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's the Lamar that we know, right? That's the Lamar that is the one that deserves the paycheck that he got. So it was a big game, big win for him and the Ravens. But on the other side, I think we got to talk about the most paid player in the game, I think in history or so far right now in the league, and that is Joe Burrow. Now he is hurt, or at least he's nursing an injury with his calf. But he did manage to put 220 yards, and he found T. Higgins twice in the end zone, which was really good. But and this is a big but. Shout out Sir Mix-a-Lot. Turnovers, right? This was the Achilles heel for the Bengals in this game. I mean, it is kind of what cost them the game if you think about it, right? Because they're trying to get that last points and last score at the end. And if you think back to when they threw that interception, it doesn't matter if Burrow threw for 300 yards or whatever. If you're giving the ball away in those key moments near that red zone, that's a really, really tough thing to come back to. It really comes to bite you in the ass, especially at the end of the game, and it did. And again, he threw for 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. With T. Higgins, but that interception, it cost them, and at the end of the game, they did show some fight in the end, but it seemed like it was a little too late, and that's a little concerning sometimes, right? Because compared to the Bengals in the past, I think for me, it's the way that they're playing early on in this season that it just doesn't seem like they're all on the same page. And I feel like it has a lot to do with the injury with Joe Burrow, and the fact that he only played 3 preseason games in his career. I think he doesn't really play preseason, and that's understandable for a starter, and especially at this day and age. I don't think preseason is as important for the younger quarterbacks as it was for the older guys back in the day. But still, this is the real deal here, and he has to play up to that standard that he needs to for the Bengals to win, because it kind of starts with the QB. And again, being the highest paid player, it's a tough thing to start out 0-2. A bit of a tough look, but if you think about it though, right? Like last year, they did start off with 0-2, and so. Not that you want that to be the model for how things go with them, but at least, people know and their fans know that, yeah, they start off slow, and that's just the way it goes. And even, I think they set a stat of like, when in 2001, the Patriots started off 0-2, and then they went on to win the Super Bowl. So you never know. But I think this game early on in the first half, and even maybe 3/4 of the game, they didn't seem like they had the juice, and it didn't seem like they had that cohesiveness that you're kind of expecting from a team like the Bengals, especially with the run that they've had over the past couple of years. But then in the last 8-10 minutes of the game, I thought they looked pretty good. And again, they're making that comeback. I did love that punt return touchdown. That was pretty sweet. So, but yeah, I think overall, the Bengals are going to need to fix things and fix a lot of stuff from their game in order to get success moving forward, because they're going to need to improve, and they're going to need to improve quick. They cannot go down. I don't think they can go down 0-4. I mean, I know with an additional game of the season, at least they have a little bit of a buffer, but not too much, I don't think. So yeah, I think if they go down 0-4 the season, that might be a cause for concern. But for right now, 0-2, and I don't know, I forgot who they're playing next week, but I don't know if they're really in a panic mode. But one thing I do want to point out this game is that the Ravens defense was pretty awesome in this game. It wasn't just all Lamar. He was awesome. He was great. But Geno Stone, huge interception. That was a crucial interception for the Ravens there again, like I was saying, because if you look at the end of the game, they're looking for that one score. So that interception in near the end zone in that red zone area was really huge for them. I really liked the game of Zay Flowers. You know, he had 5 targets, converted 4 into catches, 62 yards, and a 52-yard reception. Now that's a huge thing, right? You got to give a lot of credit for that rookie there with Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers is going to be a huge target and a huge asset for the Bengals, especially with OBJ. Again, you never know what's going on with OBJ. Like, he was hurt, and I don't know if we'll. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I don't know if we'll see ever OBJ go back to who he was. I mean, that Super Bowl, you know, when he got hurt on that field, that was he should have been. He was going to be the MVP of that game, and I don't know if that changed his career in general, but that definitely, like, it put him more injury prone than not. So, you know, having guys like Zay Flowers and a couple other targets they have on the Ravens is going to be huge. Excited to see how it turns out for him. Good kid and just a great player. Had a great game today, so that was really cool to watch. Really cool to see for Lamar, Zay, and the Ravens. I also think too that, you know, you got to give credit also, you know, to the Bengals with the fight that they had. I think this game for me was I was trying to see how they would respond to last week's game. You know, they got just blanked essentially by the Browns, and I thought they responded kind of well. Not, again, they lost and they had turnovers, but again, if you look at Burrow, his stats, you know, the stat sheet there, he did pretty well, right? 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's just that turnover again, like I keep reiterating here, like these turnovers in these high, you know, in these scoring zones, in the end zone areas, in these high chance zones, you just don't want to give the ball up like that. But yeah, I mean, like I said a while ago, going down 0-2, is it ideal? No, but I think if the Bengals just get the rhythm and figure out just how to tighten up things on their offensive side, I think they'll be all right. And, you know, on the other hand, the Ravens, you know, they're off to a great start. You know, I really like how Lamar's throwing the ball. I like how he's just zipping that thing, and I think that they have such a good tight-knit group, right? If you remember the off season, right, close to into training camp, you know, there was that whole dinner and they were just having a great time with each other, and I just think that having that team bonding and chemistry is huge. That's why, you know, you see a lot of the teams that are so close with each other, they tend to find more success than the ones that don't. Not a guarantee, but it tends to happen that way. So, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to the kind of team that the Ravens are going to be moving forward in this season, and we'll see what happens with the Bengals, right? You know, it's just they have experience going down 0-2 in a season, but I don't know, this season, after the past 2 games, honestly, I'm not that convinced that they can make a deep run unless they change drastically the way that they're playing, especially on the offensive side. And, you know, they did not have a good defense on the rushing game. This game, they had, you know, the Ravens ran all over them, especially Lamar. So I think that there's a couple things they got to fix, or a lot of things they got to fix. But, you know, couple bad weeks for them. But, you know, hey, if they win the next, like they did last time, if they win the next 14 games or whatever, then nobody talks about this. So good win by the Ravens. Hats off to them and Lamar, and we'll see how the Bengals fix things for the coming weeks. All right, what else happened? Oh, we can talk about the Chiefs had a huge win in Jacksonville, which that game was actually a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. And then, you know, if we're looking at in my mind, I think the QBs that had to come back with a a bounce back week would be Burrow, Mahomes, and Josh Allen. And I think Burrow kind of bounced back towards the end of the game, but they still came up with a loss. I think Josh Allen definitely came back with a better week. And this one, I'm not... I mean, it's Mahomes, so I hate to even, like, he didn't do anything. I mean, he's going to be fine for the season. It's not like he played poorly. It's just one of those where I thought this game would be much more in the Chiefs' favor. But hey, Jacksonville's good, and they're the brand new Jaguars this time around compared to years past when, a lot of the fans were basically calling for the GM and management and owner to, get out of town. But this game, I think the key things in this game though was return of Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones was phenomenal this game. You could tell that he had such a big presence in this game that that's why they wanted to keep him. That's why you keep guys like Chris Jones. And he also admitted, I think, that he wanted to be part of this team and he wanted to stay. But sometimes the business aspect of the game just gets in the way, and things have to be done. Everyone has to handle their business. So glad that was able to get figured out. But I think Travis Kelce, let's start off with Travis Kelce, possibly Taylor Swift's new boyfriend. We don't know. But I think, he did show a little rust. I mean, he didn't make his usual big plays, but he did score a touchdown, so that was huge. And I think that he was able to draw focus from the Jacksonville defense, so that then allows other receivers to kind of have opportunities and to get a bit more looks. So that's a big that's a big plus when you have a guy like Travis Kelce in the lineup. It's just his presence changes the way the other team plays, so you kind of need that, and that's what makes the Chiefs during this era and this dynasty run that they're on. It's almost like you can't really have the Patriots era without just like special guys that were part of it, whether it was Gronk, whether it was like Randy Moss that one year, like Edelman, Amendola, people like that. Like, you need the key guys, and Travis Kelce is the most key guy that with that can contribute to Mahomes' Chiefs dynasty era. So having him back is huge. And like, every team has injuries, and I know if you were to take Travis Kelce out of the lineup, no team would be complaining or anything like that. But at the end of the day, he is a huge part of the team, and without him, it's just a completely different team. It's a completely different Chiefs team. So glad he's back for the Chiefs. And also, again, like Chris Jones' impact, right? Like, the return of Chris Jones, and it changes the game. He had a couple of really good plays, and having that factor on defense is huge. I think, like, when you're able to have that presence and that star player like Chris Jones, then it completely changes, I think, the face of the defense for the Chiefs. And then when you get a couple more stops than you normally would without him, the offense gets on the field more. There's more possession time. So I thought, it was so great to see Chris Jones back for them. And he could clearly, he had such a big impact there. And I think that, like, the Chiefs now, they're a team that every other team is looking to play their A game against them, right? And that's the way it's been for past 3-4 years or whatever. But like, that's something that's why you need your key players, you need your key guys to be able to help out and be in the lineup and play well, And so I think a lot of the red zone defense played a big role in determining the game's outcome, right? If you look at Jacksonville, I thought they struggled a little bit in the red zone. Trevor Lawrence, they kind of only scored 9 points there in the red zone. Leaves a little disappointment there for the Jags and their fans. I mean, there was even a missed opportunity, right? There was I think it was a wide open pass to Zay Jones there in the end zone, and he kind of missed that. So those are huge plays that, like, you cannot miss against a team like the Chiefs, right? If there's one team in the NFL you can't miss that in, it's probably the Chiefs. Those have to be executed, and if you want a chance to beat the champions, you got to be able to play almost perfect. So I think that's where games like this get determined, and I think the Jacksonville Jaguars used this game as a bit of a measuring stick, and honestly, they weren't that far off, right? I thought they actually, held their own. This wasn't like a runaway game for the Kansas City Chiefs by any means. So I thought it was a pretty good fight for the Jaguars there. But again, I just think that you can't make those mistakes, and you can't give up opportunities in the red zone to get more points on the board. So that's a big thing, and you got to be able to execute on those plays. But overall, I thought this game, I don't know, like I expected the Chiefs to come out and put more points up against the Jaguars here, but you got to give credit to Jags again. And I think moving forward, we're going to see a really different Jags team. And I think the respect level is starting to really grow for who they are, the kind of game they play, the kind of quarterback Trevor Lawrence is. Credit to the coach. It just changes the complete culture there for the Jaguars. So it's pretty cool to see, Jacksonville become now a team that is very much respected, that is very much on the radar for being a contender. And and you look at a game like this where they face the champions and they hold their own. So good on them, and we'll see how things go for both these teams. But I think that this game was a lot closer than I expected it to be, especially throughout, towards the end of it. I almost thought like the Jaguars could sneak out a win here. I thought it was gonna be one of those games, but the Chiefs were able to be victorious in Kelsey and Jones's return to the lineup. All right, another game that I had my eye on was the Raiders and Bills game. This was a great showing, great outing for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I think that last week, so much of the story was on Rodgers and his injury and everything, and the big win by the Jets. I think there was a good portion of people who they kind of missed the story that the Bills didn't play well. I mean, although it got more coverage and people kind of, really saw that after they kind of got over the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. When they took a step back and looked at that game, like, man, like Josh Allen did not play well. And then that became a story later in the week where like you look at the picks he threw, you look at the drives. I was watching the Manning cast, and like, there was a graphic of the drives that he had. I think it was like a punt, interception, punt, fumble, and like another punt or something. Yeah, it was bad. I mean, and that wasn't good. And they definitely should have won that game against the Jets. So I think this time around, they definitely were determined to not let that be the story again in this game, is to let a game slip away and lose to a team that they should beat. But the Raiders, I don't know, like I wouldn't say that they should have beat the Raiders, but the Raiders are, because the Raiders they're up, and they got Devontae, new Jimmy Garoppolo's back, and there was flashes of what they could be in this game. But I think it got to a point towards the end where the Bills just kind of ran away with it. And again, I think the narrative for me, at least in this game, was it going to be a redemption game for Josh Allen and the Bills? And I think, they had a lot to prove. And in this game, he came out and proved it, right? He came out strong. He threw for 270 yards, 3 touchdowns. And look, I think he needed to come out of the game like that, right? He needed to come out, not fumble the ball, throw multiple interceptions or whatever. He needed to come out with a strong game just so that he can kind of calm down, Bills Nation, but also, gain that momentum, right? And gain that momentum in his game and that consistency and that rhythm. And just now he can start to build upon, good games and good drives and just good situational play. And not just panic or force plays like he did in that week 1. And sometimes it's just, week 1, right? I mean, even, I think last year or 2 years ago, Rodgers lost to the Lions or the Vikings in week 1. And, it's week 1. So a lot of good QBs don't always, win all the home openers. But I think also, too, with this game, it wasn't just Josh Allen. I think you have to look at Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis really just crushed it. He was so good in this game. He had 6 receptions, 92 yards and a touchdown. And so, when you got guys like that, especially when you got Stephon Diggs, who is definitely the key target, and he becomes the guy that a lot of people, a lot of teams, opposing teams, will look at, and they'll think he's the key target and he's the only guy that's going to get the ball. When you have really production from people like him, like from Gabe Davis, that's huge, and that's just. And also when you can kind of spread it around, right? Then I think in this game there was good distribution across a lot of the team. There was 9 different players catching at least a pass, right? And I feel like the Bills really put on an absolute clinic in this one. That was a great game by them. Just a really good bounce back game, I think, for the Bills here. But now you look on the other side with the Raiders. Gotta give them credit. They came out swinging, and they had a lot of energy. On that, I think that first drive, you had Garoppolo to Devontae, and I feel like they set the tone. I thought they were really going to go on a tear there, and all of a sudden the Bills would be on their heels a little bit. But then there was just a bunch of missed opportunities. Like the next couple of series, they just kind of didn't really get anything going, and then they got outplayed by the Bills. I think in both. Passing yards, rushing yards, offensively, defensively, I didn't see an aspect of this game where the Raiders were better than the Bills at. So that's just a bit of a tough outing for the Raiders here. I also think a lot of credit goes to the Bills defense. You had Josh Jacobs, they had him on lockdown. I think he was held to negative yardage, and Milano came up with that huge interception. Just a really nice play by him. So all around, the Bills, again, they just outplayed the Raiders in almost every aspect of the game. And it's one of those things where, you need to be able to match the Bills in terms of your how well you play your own game, right? And the Raiders, I don't think, played their own game really that well, in this one. I think they let the Bills play the game that the Bills wanted to play. If you look at also a big part of that was the success in this game was the time of possession. I feel like the Bills just had a lot of control in this game. They ate up so much possession time in the third quarter. And you got Gabe Davis with that touchdown in double coverage. It just seemed like a dagger at that point to the Raiders. At that point, I was like, all right, I think this is just not the Raiders' day. It's not their Sunday. But the talent's there, right? On the Raiders side, the talent's there for sure. And there's no denying that. They looked a little outpaced, outmatched. And if you look at, again, the difference in passing yardage and the gap in rushing yardage, it just shows how much better the Bills were as a team this weekend and how much further the Raiders kind of have to improve where they want to compete with teams on the same level as the Bills and the Niners, the Chiefs, all these guys, right? And then the people, Devontae Adams, he has high expectations. Jimmy Garoppolo, high expectations. All these guys are not. This is not in any kind of rebuild situation for the Raiders. They want to make it, and they want to make it far. So, there's got to be a lot of improvement there. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what they do. But I think in this one, the Bills just really had a great game. Josh Allen had a really great game. Good way to step up. Really good bounce back game. And we'll see how the Raiders improve for their games moving forward. But I really like the way the Bills played. And if they could keep this up, and if they could keep improving on this game, then they're definitely going to be back in that conversation of maybe being able to make a run. But we'll see how they do. All right. Well, what else happened this week? I think the Lions and Seahawks game. That was a big one. That was a big win for the Seahawks there. I kind of thought the Lions would take that one. That was one of those where they were close there in overtime. They were trailing 10 points? What was it 10 points towards the end of the game there? It was this thing where Dan Campbell, he wasn't really aiming for the tie, he says, when it was 144 left in the game. But I think he kind of mentioned how he believed that there was time for a touchdown, and I think he believed that there was time for the Lions to take the lead there, as opposed to just tying the game or whatever. But the Lions were 10 points behind, and I think after a touchdown, so Jared Goff gets a touchdown to Josh Reynolds, and then the Seahawks get a 3-and-out. And after that, the Lions, Goff and the Lions just kind of make their way down the field. And there was actually an interesting play where they kind of just let the clock run down. They instead of just trying to conserve that time, they would let it run down. And then he, at like 3 seconds left, Dan Campbell uses his timeout. They get a field goal. Jared Goff talked a bit about how kind of wishes he played that a little bit differently, but you know what? Like, I mean, you got to give a little credit to the Lions here. They played really well, and I think that there were getting Amon-Ra St. Brown and Reynolds hurt. That is a tough call, tough thing for the Lions to go through, and they're such key factors for the Lions. Yeah, so the Lions getting, Dave Montgomery gets hurt, Amon-Ra St. Brown gets hurt, and that's just that's a killer for the Lions, especially with their production, because those are two guys of the past two games that have really stepped up for them, have really proven to be one of their best players, or a couple of their best players. And so if without them, hopefully we'll see what happens. I think Montgomery's going to be out for more than just a couple games. I think Montgomery's going to be out for at least a game. We'll see what the timetable is for that injury. And I'm not sure. Let me look up what the timetable is for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He did get hurt. I don't think there's a whole lot of information. It says he injured his toe, so I don't know if that's something that's going to keep him out for too long. But yeah, we'll see. I guess it opens up some looks and some carries for Jahmyr Gibbs, because the Lions do have a couple good weapons, but they can't go down with injuries like this. That would be kind of tough if that's the case. I think the success of the Lions really hinges on just their top guys being there. I don't think they have a deep enough roster that, and again, you have Jared Goff there. No offense to Goff, but he's good. But I think he's good with the people that he's comfortable with. I don't know if he's good enough yet to just be able to plug and play and make something happen with guys that aren't the top receivers and things like that. But we'll see how they do. On the Seahawks side, I mean, this game, I think Tyler Lockett was a big factor in this game being won by the Seahawks. He had a lot of game-changing plays in this one. I think he had 2 touchdowns, game winner in overtime. He had 8 catches, 59 yards on 10 targets. And you also got to give credit to Geno Smith, right? He was able to, complete 32 of 41, 328 yards, man. 328 yards for Geno Smith. If you would have said a couple years ago that Geno Smith would be leading the Seahawks like he is now, I think a lot of people would have thought you were crazy. They would have laughed at you. But here he is, and a credit to him, credit to Pete Carroll. That's a big credit to the coaching staff of how they've, used him and strategized with him and schemed up plays for him specifically. But I also thought that the Seattle defense came up big in this one too. There's that fumble, which I think then led to the Lockett touchdown. And, you got Trey Brown made pretty good stops there. Seattle's first sack and interception, return for a touchdown, I believe. And the rookie cornerback, Devon Witherspoon, made NFL debut. He had a pretty good showing. Couple good things, couple bad things, but overall the Seahawks were able to, move to a 1-1 record now. They take on the Panthers next week. I think that's a pretty good matchup for them. I think they're going to become the favorable matchup for them. I think they'll be able to take on the Panthers with success there. But again, it's like Seahawks are just a team. Hey, be careful. Don't let them get hot, right? Don't let the Seahawks get hot. You never know. And I think just with Pete Carroll there, he almost has that same reputation or that same trust factor of almost like Bill Belichick, right? If Pete Carroll's there with the Seahawks, they're going to be a good team. Pete Carroll is an amazing coach. So, we'll see how it goes for them. But big win for them. That was a really great game to watch. I just really like that was an overtime game, but I just like the closeness of every game that we've got, right? I think when I was watching Red Zone, they said at the end of the game, at the end of the first half of the first set of games, every single game was at the red zone. So that's a big, a lot of games are close. It's a big deal, just being able to have a lot of games that close to each other. But yeah, no, I think the Seahawks came up with a good win. I think the Lions will be able to bounce back again. It depends on the injury factor that they have. The Colts. That's a good one I'll talk about. The Colts. First of all, Anthony Richardson. He is just an absolute dog, right? He is a dude, and that's awesome. He is a guy. The Colts, I feel finally found their guy. Fortunately, in this game, he gets pulled for a concussion protocol. That hit did look bad, but he ran. He played a couple plays after that. So that was, to me, that's interesting that they pulled him a little later, not too far down the line of the game, but still, it wasn't like the touchdown happened and then they pull him off. It took a little while for him to get off the field, but hopefully he comes back soon, because he was awesome for them. They're a completely different team now. I feel like there's an energy with the Colts, and there's just a certain flow to their game, and he's such a good leader for them. And just the way that he's able to run the ball, and he's a big dude. And it's one of those things where when Jonathan Taylor had his possible MVP or Rookie of the Year season, he was the guy that was providing a lot of that rushing threat with the Colts. And now you got a guy in Anthony Richardson that he is that rushing threat too, aside from just being the quarterback. That's huge. That's huge for them. That's and things are starting to turn around a little bit there with the Colts, just because over the past couple of years they have not been good, unfortunately. But hey, and also Gardner Minshew, he stepped up and he 171 yards, touchdown. I think that the Colts are, again, don't let the Colts get hot either, right? I mean, they're a pretty solid team when they're playing well, but I still don't necessarily trust them to make a deep run, at least right now. And depending on how Anthony Richardson, his status for next game or the upcoming weeks, but that was a big win by them. I mean, they did just play the Texans, and Texans are still a little bit of the up and up, and they're still an up and coming team. But I thought the Colts had control of that game. I was very impressed by them. I really like that. Speaking of control or loss of control, is the Bears. All right. I mean, I don't know, man. I try to really root for Justin Fields, but there's some plays that I don't know. How is he not seeing the open pass? There was one near the end zone where he kind of just sits in the pocket a little too long and he just gets sacked. How is he not seeing at this level, and with the amount of games he's already had under his belt, like he's not seeing certain reads. And again, not that I'm some professional, but like there are certain things that you just, there's throws you have to make, and I just don't feel like, but I really like though his movement. I love the way that he's so elusive with his runs. He's such a good running QB that maybe he just needs, I don't know, maybe a certain type of coach, a certain type of scheme, something like that. But I really it's just I'm really rooting for him to be good. It's just that you can't deny that like there's some plays where he's not getting it, and he's not at that high level NFL quarterback yet. So we'll see how he does moving forward. But I don't think it's any cause to think that he's not going to be the starter or anything. I just think that he's, I don't know, you root for him to just put all the pieces together, and you watch him run, and you watch him just have that agility and avoid a lot of the hits. And if you just can add on to that, just a good football mind that is able to read the plays, see the open reads that are there, and just put it together at that high elite level, he could just be an incredible QB. But right now, he's still kind of learning it and struggling a little bit. But I think he can get there. I think that he has the potential to get there. Hopefully, he's surrounded by better personnel, but we'll see. And but the Bucks, the Bucks have been surprising. I watched them all last year, being a Brady fan, but like this year, it's only been 2 games, but like they're pretty good. Like Mike Evans, I still can't believe they didn't extend Mike Evans. I can't believe that. He's a guy that you watch him play this game, and how many yards did he rush? Did he receive for? 171 yards. 171. And the Bucks are not extending him. They're not paying him what he needs to be paid. That is just wild. I don't know. Hey, this is a great showcase for Evans, like maybe he can make his way to the Chiefs or something, or maybe I don't know what team. Like there's a lot of teams that could use him, basically every team at this point. But yeah, man, I think good game by him. Godwin played well. Rashad White had 73 yards rushing, which is really solid. So overall, again, the Bucks have been really surprising. I wonder how long it's going to last. I don't know. Like I don't know if like Baker Mayfield is like the real deal where he could really lead them. It just seems like he'll go on these runs that are really great, and then when he shits the bed, it's not fun to watch, and the mistakes happen and all that. But maybe he's adjusting his game, and he's getting what he needs. He has the people around him that he needs to have success, right? He has the receivers and the backs around him to be able to lead his team to victory here. So they're 2-0, which is better than the Bengals, better than the Chiefs. So good on them. Better than the Bills there too. So good on them. That was a big win against the Bears, and we'll see if they can keep it up. Another one that I liked the Packers and Falcons game. That was a really good game by between both of them. But I thought, I think Jordan Love is. I think he's a dude. I think he's a guy. And I think when you watch just the way that he plays the game and like watch the reads, I really enjoy watching QBs, especially not necessarily rookie QBs, but QBs that are in a new position, right? Like Jordan Love is finally the starter. Being behind Aaron Rodgers for the years that he was, and learning from him, you kind of get to see like what's been waiting in the wings, and I think there's a lot of Aaron Rodgers influence in the way that he plays, and it's pretty cool to watch and fun to watch him have success. But they came up short in this game. I think credit to the Falcons, credit to Arthur Smith here. This game was really well coached by him on the Falcons side. Desmond Ridder played very well, I thought. 237 yards. He was 19 for 32. Did throw an interception, but he played really well. This game I think could have gone either way. But I think Packer fans have to be very happy with what they've been seeing so far, because 1-1. I think with all the hype around Aaron going to the Jets and him leaving and what's going to happen to the Packers, I think a lot of doubts were happening with Love, and the fact that they're 1-1, that's not bad. I think they were they were not going to be expected to win a whole lot of games this year, and so far I think if anything I would go with the over for their win total this year instead of the under. But yeah, I think a good game by both of them. Yeah, I mean, Jordan Love, 3 touchdowns. He only had 151 yards, but he goes 3 touchdowns. Very efficient dude in the pocket. Last one I'll talk about, I think the Chargers or the Giants comeback. You know, I was watching that game, and in the beginning you think like, oh man, this is gonna be another one of those. Giants are gonna get routed. They're gonna break a record for the most points scored against in 2 total games or whatever, right? But they kept crawling back and I think that's very, very underrated about Daniel Jones. Is like he has that ability to rush and extend drives, and that is so sometimes just overlooked, right? Because he isn't necessarily like the best passer and most accurate. Like, let me see how many yards he threw for this game. I mean, he threw a lot. It was 321 yards. Like, he's not like always well known for his accuracy or throwing for so many yards. He's known for his rushing. Rushed for 59 yards and classic Daniel Jones fashion. But I thought, like if the Giants just kind of like play games like they did at the second half of this game, they have the potential. You could see it. Like they have the potential to be a good team, a really good team, especially in their division. They have a chance. Or actually, the division now is kind of tough. But like over the years, like the Giants division hasn't always been like the most solid one. But they have a chance. They have an opportunity here. And they just have to avoid just playing a little sloppy sometimes. But they were to come back in this game. But I think the big news of this game, the really shitty part about this game, historic comeback, but shitty part is I think they lost Saquon Barkley. I don't know how long, and I don't think there was any news about how long it's going to take. I don't know it looked like someone with his leg, ACL. I don't know. It was bad. I mean, looked swollen, pain, discomfort. The results don't sound too inspiring. I think, especially him, man. He's on his, he's on a franchise tag. I think, is he or something? But that's just brutal to injury he had, and it's that tackle. It's the one where people like tackle you and then they lean down and in, like And what's sad is like I don't think he even needed to be in that play. But I mean, he's it's not like they're gonna take him out or whatever. But like it was so. I was so gutted for the Giants fans to see Saquon injured again. Because he's dealt with his share of tough injuries and had to come back and all that. Let's just hope that this is not as bad. But again, with all the news, the tweets and all that stuff coming out, looks like this is a tough injury for them, and that is just brutal. That just sucks for the Giants and Saquon. You're kind of rooting for him to be back soon, but I don't know. We'll see how they do. At least they have Darren Waller. They got a bunch of people that can hopefully carry the load. It's not just all on Saquon's shoulders. But we'll see. We'll see how they do. But that was a great comeback. Historic comeback for them. Historic comeback for the Giants. Fun game to watch. I think that they prove that they're a team that they can really make a dent here. But on the other side, the Cardinals, I don't know. Like, I don't even know if the Cardinals this season, I feel like they're tanking. But the fact that Kyler Murray's not playing, it's just hard for me to take the Cardinals seriously in terms of like, do they have a shot in games? Because Dobbs was good, but yeah, I mean, it's not exactly Kyler. But he did show, so he showed some good production. James Conner rushed for 106 yards, so that was really good. I just feel like they kind of stopped. Like all their momentum, it stopped after that second half or whatever. So that's they're gonna have to figure their stuff out. What's his coach's name? Basically asked him, hey, did you take the bus? Did you drive here? That was what he was asking his players. The shout out their social media team sharing that. That was very embarrassing. Oh man, kind of tired. But yeah, I think the Giants, they could be in trouble if Saquon is out, though. I mean, that just sucks for them. And then also, how about the Broncos, right? How about the Broncos almost coming back? I feel like that should have been pass interference in that 2-point conversion, but who knows? I kind of feel like also the Broncos 0-2. I don't know if that's a little bit of a deceptive 0-2. I don't know if that's like the same kind of 0-2 that the Bengals have, although it is technically just the same. Doesn't matter how you win or lose. You lose, you win, you win. But I'm just saying, in terms of like judging Russell Wilson this year, I think he's played a lot better. I think you can already tell that there's just a different vibe, a different style that the Broncos are playing. And Russell Wilson, I feel like, is going back to the old Russell Wilson with the deep ball, with that Hail Mary throw at the end. He's rushing the ball now. He's running it for the first downs. He's just doing a lot of things that, you saw Seattle Seahawk Russell Wilson do. And, Peyton, credit to Sean Payton for kind of bringing that back out of him. Or I don't know what they're doing. Maybe the scheme or whatever they're calling. But good on them. But again, I think they'll get it. They'll get it together and they'll turn it around. This game the Commanders just didn't quit this game. Sam Howell, no quit in this game. They just found a way to overcome that deficit and just inch their way through this game. I feel like that was how this game played out. Was they were able to slowly just climb their way back, and before you knew it, they take the lead and get the win over the Broncos. I think, and they had a chance at the end with a long Hail Mary, but the Commanders were able to pull away with a win. Pretty even game though overall. In terms of passing yards, rushing yards were the same for both teams. Time of possession, the Commanders were able to get the ball a little bit longer by 7 more minutes time of possession. But overall, I just felt like the Broncos played well. They played well in the beginning of the game up to a certain point, and they kind of just fell off a little bit, and then towards the end they were to find their way back. But you just need a full game for the Broncos, and I think they're going to eventually get a win here, get a couple more wins, and turn their season around and turn just the culture around. But overall, I think the way Russ has been playing has been a good change, an improvement from where he was last year for sure. But yeah, overall, this week was, the Chargers, Titans. Also, I don't know what's going on with the Chargers. Are they just not? I think Brandon Staley's on the hot seat because honestly, Herbert gets so much press and hype for being, on the same level as Mahomes and Allen, and I think even people look at Herbert more in a better light than they do Jalen Hurts, right? And Jalen Hurts went to the Super Bowl. I don't know. I think I really like Herbert. I'm a fan of Herbert, but just in general, how do the Chargers keep losing these close games, even dating back to last year? How do they just keep losing? It's just one of those things that they have to figure this out, and they keep losing these close games. The Titans are a good team, but I also think that they had, Tannehill, in my opinion, isn't exactly the greatest quarterback to go up against, so I feel like they should have been able to at least force some turnovers and things like that and have a bit more of an upper hand in this game. But they were playing well. I think they had the lead going into the third, but they just let it slip, and let's see how they do. Let's see how they do moving forward, because this happens too many times. I don't know if we're gonna see Brandon Staley still with the Chargers after this season, or maybe halfway through this season. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people would agree with him being in the hot seat, but I feel like he is. I just think that if you date back to even last year, there's a lot of controversial decisions being made, and stuff like that. So we'll see. we'll see how things go for him and the rest of the team there. But man, the Chargers just keep losing these close games. It's really, really difficult, really tough there. But yeah, I mean, anything else? Yeah, Niners came up with a huge win. Kind of ran away with it at the end, but that was pretty close till towards the end of the fourth quarter there. Dolphins, really great game. Almost a chance for the Patriots at the end, but I feel like that game was mostly the Dolphins, honestly. Cowboys steamrolled the Jets. Fortunately, that there was going to be no Zach Wilson show there. Cowboys took control of that entire game, and yeah. And we'll see what happens tonight with the Saints and the Panthers and the Browns and the Steelers. Nice rematch, or nice matchup for the Browns against the Steelers there. Flashbacks to a couple years ago in the playoffs where the Browns beat the Steelers, knocked them out. And we'll see what happens with the Saints and the Panthers. I think that the Saints look like a stronger team to me, and Panthers are more of on the younger side. We'll see how they do. But I do think that the Saints probably gonna take that one, and I think that the Browns. I don't know. That one's tough. Browns and Steelers. I don't know. I think defensively, Browns might have an edge there, but I just think the Deshaun Watson has not. I don't think he's gotten back to being a minus type player yet. I still think that he's kind of trying to find his game a little bit, but we'll see. I think the Steelers take that one. That's my guess there, is that the Steelers take that one tonight, and the Saints take this one tonight too. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still watching, if you're still with me here, I appreciate you watching. And if you have any comments, any opinions you want to share, let me know in the comment section. Yeah, I mean, it's been 2 weeks of NFL football, and there have been a hell of a lot of good games happening. So excited to see what this upcoming Monday night slate brings, and then also week 3. So we'll see the how things go and which games to look forward to. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Broncos and Dolphins. That's gonna be a good matchup. I think the Rams and Bengals should be interesting in terms of which team can get some momentum there, and Ravens and Colts should be interesting. I hope Anthony Richardson's going to be on. We'll see. Vikings Chargers, that one's a good one. I like that, between 2 0-2 teams, I think. All right, where's the Vikings? And I can't remember. Yeah, both 2 0-2. That's gonna be interesting game. Falcons and Lions should be an interesting game too. I think that's gonna be a great one to watch. Two almost two similar teams on the up and coming teams so far. But yeah, so that's it. That's it for this video. That's it for week 2 discussion. I'll see if I can hop on and talk about the Monday night slate games if they're good games. But thank you again so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos and keep up to date with the stuff that I have coming out, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully I will entertain you all. But yeah, no, I'm definitely appreciative if you guys watch this video, and can't wait to make more videos on the upcoming weeks. So this has been Lettius Sports Talk. I've been your host, Enrique Lettius. Thank you guys for watching.